fraudulent activities, as Alan Grayson said, and many other people have said it was fraudulent. Why isn't the Justice Department filing charges?
They're busy shipping guns into Mexico. They created the mirror system to fraudulently claim that they own the houses and had the deeds. And they AAA rated the bonds and had corrupt companies certified as AAA rating, which they then sold those insurance policies as more crud. So they sold crap on top of crap.
It's unbelievable. Nobody's getting arrested. According to William Black, the renowned economist, professor of economy, he's got PhD in economy, PhD in law.
He was the big guy that sent a bunch of them to prison last go-around.
Oh, yeah. They put 1,000 financial elites in prison. This is 70 times bigger, according to him. 0 financial elites have gone to jail. Oh, we've heard they're going to have civil charges against the executives of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And
but Greg Hunter, don't worry. Northcom's standing by to take out the evil people that are criticizing it. I want to briefly, we're going to go to break and come back and have you finish riveting information. Hope folks are waking up out there and spreading the word. Angie in North Carolina, I don't know how much you want to say what you told me off air, but you have reasons to notice these things in the Department of Defense orders. But how big an issue, just to our guests, breaking it down, to talk about the military running emergency camps, well, you could say it's for floods and things. This says Blue Force, situational awareness communication, and you're absolutely right. When they talk about Blue Force versus Red Force, that means a combat situation. Angie, finish up your points on that.
Yeah, I think it's very disturbing. This whole entire document is their bid to contract for the establishment of a communication system for the purpose of essentially a complete societal breakdown, continuity of government situation. And that's exactly what it says, that the operations divisions need to provide the, basically the electronics communication.
And look at outreach support. That's going to be PSYOPs. And then in there it talks about Red Force. And again, I've been to the drills. That means waging, when they go red-blue or blue-red, when it talks about Blue Force, that's the government against somebody.
Right. It says Blue Force situational awareness. And I'll say it again for those that don't know what that is. It's the communication system that the military uses, it's a military program, to identify friendlies and non-friendlies in the battlefield for the purpose of avoiding friendly fire.
Generally, it's a transponder, unless they think the enemy's tracking them. Then they turn them off, or it's what's painted on the tanks. It's codes that are blurped out. And anybody else who isn't, on the blue list, you're on the red list.
Right.
Or they can use other colors, but usually it's blue-red. I mean, this is amazing. And, I mean, you know about it. I mean, what are the people you know that are involved in this? Are they pretty upset right now?
Yeah, very. It's an extremely disturbing development. Basically anything that would provide for, a 72-hour standby in order for them to be able to pull together, situational control within the borders of the United States using the military is disturbing. That's why we have posse comitatus, because...
well, we don't anymore. They just passed NDAA. Now, I mean, right. Sure, it's outrageous, but wait, we found a C-SPAN clip. It's in like a 2-hour-long show, so we didn't play it on the radio. We found it at the start, but we're going to try to play it tonight, where they're on C-SPAN going, look, we're not just going to arrest you, we're going to kill you. And they say, yes, we're going to kill Americans without a trial. I mean, just the magnitude of this.
Well, that's what's so disturbing. And as you were saying before, with the Blue Force, Red Force, the way that works is, you're right. Blue Force is considered friendly, and they carry transponders. And essentially, anybody that does not have a transponder that identifies them as a friendly is considered a Red Force or enemy. And that's what they use out in the battlefield. Now, I don't know why they would want to set up a system to be able to use that here within the United States unless they know something that we don't.
Well, look, I was told by insiders, and now, of course, the drones are actually tracking farmers, so people believe it now, that they got the GPS marking of your door for SWAT teams, Army truck pickups, and drone attacks. And I was told this by an Army colonel who was so scared he wanted. I'm not going to get into it. Listen, I'm going to put you on hold again. I'm going to have Rob Dew call you I want to interview you on the TV tonight. We'll disguise your voice or whatever you want, because I know you have a lot more inside info. I'm going to put you on hold now. Our reporter, Rob Dew, is going to call you. We're going to finish up with reporter Greg Hunter of USAWatchdog.com.
Introducing a diabetes break.
By the way, folks, I'm not going to have time to plug a bunch of stuff that we need to, because it's key to the InfoWar and our funding. But I will be on the radio tomorrow. They're going to be posting it at stansburyradio.com, so check that out. And supporter Stansbury interview. Always trying to get him on, but he's too busy. So that's coming up tomorrow, stansburyradio.com. Don't forget, we have the new film out that's professionally done on Oklahoma City and what really happened there, A Noble Lie. And you can get all 18 of my films on DVD for 70+% off at Infowars.com. In closing, Greg Hunter, you just heard that information from that lady in her Department of Defense. Well, I'm just going to leave it alone exactly what he does, but that's why they're aware of this. But you talked about the mainstream media and how they've been discredited. They're losing viewers. Alternative media, real journalists like yourself and others are firing up their own operations, becoming incredibly successful. And so you have a perfect storm of old line media and government and industry openly saying, let's censor people, to where you have 80 of the inventors of the internet coming out last week and saying they really are planning to shut down alternative speech. So you see them gearing up for what you call, what I would call an iron curtain descending on America.
Well, listen, if you take a look at the data points, and I'm going to tell your viewers and listeners another little data point that's coming out today before I start. And these are just data points, so you can say, hey, these are why aren't they telling us? National Association of Realtors. See if anybody covers this tonight. This came out today. The NAR, National Association of Realtors, this is according to John Williams, who is a Ivy League trained economist who sells his information to hedge funds, and nobody in the world would ever make a decision based on government unemployment, government inflation, government GDP numbers. They hire people like John Williams and say, okay, here's the raw data. What does it really mean? And that's why John Williams, shadowstance.com, does what he does for people who handle money.
Well, he does it the old way the government used to.
That's correct. I mean, when he says inflation is 11%, if you did it the way it was done by the Bureau of Labor Statistics in 1980 or earlier.
Unemployment's really 22.
Employment's really 22, correct. If it was done the way the Bureau of Labor Statistics did it in 1994 or earlier, unemployed, underemployed, and underemployed is really 22%. So if we had the first 2 quarters of the year, we had a couple of percent shrinkage, according to him. So that's not getting up. And here's another story, just as a data point, then I'll get back to your other thing. The National Association of Realtors just refreshed their figures, and they basically they corrected their estimates, and 3.54 million homes vanished. Sales of 3.54 million homes vanished since 2007. Just another little data point. Let's see if that gets widely reported in the press, that the sales of 3.54 million homes vanished since 2007, according to the National Association of Realtors adjustments. But back to the mainstream media versus the real media, which is now us. We're not the alternative media. We're the real media. I know what a story is, Alex Jones. I know what one is. I did stories against Ford Motor Company. I did stories against big car companies. I did stories about depleted uranium munitions. I had to, I've done some of the stuff's on my site. I know what a story is. I did nothing. I didn't cover fires. I didn't cover floods. I worked in the R&D department of ABC News and CNN. I work with the lawyers. I work with standards. I work with legal. I didn't say anything unless if I said a line like so-and-so did such and such. Do you have a document to prove that? I had to have documents for everything. I know what a story is. I know what to say, and I know how to say something that's true. And what's going on today is outrageous. But let's take 60 Minutes, the pinnacle of broadcasting. They interview, and I did this on my site. They interview Ben Bernanke, several months ago, and he says, "Oh, we're not printing money." And you know how I know he's lying? Because Jon Stewart on The Daily Show found a clip where he was on 60 Minutes a year earlier, and he says, essentially, we're printing money. And 60 Minutes decided not to ask him about any of that.
I'll tell you what, Greg Hunter, let's do 5 minutes of overdrive. Back in 60 seconds. I want you to finish. All right, 5 minutes of overdrive, and then we're going to have an incredibly important InfoWars Nightly News, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. We got 15-day free trial for the Nightly News. And then, of course, you see it first, and it's all archived, all the films in one spot, and then we put it out for free everywhere else. Millions watch it. over the week after these shows get released, but you are financing others getting real news and information. So I'll have time to digest all this information I learned in the last 2 hours here that just flips me out, because I've been to urban warfare drills, and I know what all of these transponders mean, and they admit the military is going to run the camps against the Red Force and all of it. This is not good news. I mean, I knew this, and it fits in with everything else, but it's just like, really? It's really happening. I guess the Germans said that too, but at least we got a jump on them here. Now, going back to Greg Hunter, an amazing investigative journalist, you were finishing up, though, getting into calls for censoring the web. They're everywhere now. It's like they've gone from denying this stuff as we watched them eat around the edges to now they're just right out in the open saying, yeah, we're going to shut you down. Yes,
and I think they're not going to go to your show or my site or somebody else's site when it hits the fan. And listen, if the currency goes poof, I'm telling you, physical dollars are going to work really good for a while, but they won't work good for long. And I'm not trying to tell everybody to go make a run on a bank, but I think everybody, no matter whether it's a hurricane or a flood or whatever, you should always have some cash on hand. But the long and short of it is that you're not really being told the whole truth. And this is what happened in the wake of the last debacle in 2008. And reliable sources, what's his name, Howard Kurtz, came on and with all of his panel of the regular mainstream media, and they all had one overarching thing, and mainstream media in general had one overarching thing, and it was nobody saw that coming. And I had a producer friend of mine who was at CNN who said, hey, wait a minute, no, Greg Hunter saw it coming. He did this story then, he did this video here. Some of the stories are on my site. One of the stories on my site, if you look under the About tab, I have John Williams on in 2008, and he says we're going to have an inflationary depression. Well, we got a depression, I think. And the inflation part is 11%. So we have inflation, but he thinks it'll turn into hyperinflation. And people say, well, wages aren't going up. How can it turn into hyperinflation? Remember that $12 trillion held outside the country? Listen, if that starts getting sold, forget it. We do have the dollar backed by something. It's backed in oil.
That's right. Once the rush to the exits happens, and it's already kind of started, the avalanches. Yeah. The rock slide, just a few rocks are bouncing down, then it will happen. And from my research, isn't that the worst kind of depression? Is a inflationary depression?
Yes, because your currency goes poof. In the Great Depression, people, it's so terrible. Well, the credit rating of the U.S. was sterling. Never lost a click. And the dollar, wow, even though they devalued the dollar against gold, a $20 gold piece ceased to exist because FDR needed to print dollars, and he revalued the gold to $35 an ounce. He should have revalued it to $50 an ounce or $70 an ounce, but he did $35. So they brought in the $20 gold pieces because $20, it was not an ounce of gold, actually 0.967. It's actually $20.67. 67 cents bought you like 10 gallons of gas back then. But anyway, but the dollar, if you had dollars, you had currency, you had money, you had something. Now, if you have dollars, the problem is, I have an FDIC insurance. Oh, okay. Hey, Bob, pay this lady her $150,000. You need your money too? Sure, no problem. We have a line of credit at the Treasury. And what does that mean? We'll give you your money, but we're not going to give you your buying power. And if it's so bad, Alex, what they'll do is they'll have a banking holiday. What they could do is they could have a banking holiday just like they did in the 30s, and they revalue the money, or they introduce a new currency, or whatever. But what could happen, and this is why I think there could be pandemonium, do you know how fast things could leave the grocery store shelves? Do you know how fast we could be out of things just like that?
One day.
Well, a few days. And I think they may, with these camps, may say, hey, listen, you want to live? You need to go to this camp.
No, I agree. They're going to sell it. Oh, hackers hit the internet. We've got to shut some sites down. Oh, you got to go to the camp because you're starving.
That's what I think.
No, they're already arresting homeless people, saying you can't be on the street. Well, what happens when your whole family's homeless? Bye-bye. I tell you, Greg, you really are spot on with your research and a great mind. I hope you'll come back and join us soon.
Have me come on anytime.
All right, thank you, Greg Hunter. USAWatchdog.com. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com. See you back tonight, 7, and Lord willing, back tomorrow. Folks, we warned you. It's all beginning. Warn everybody you know. Exposing these criminals may slow them down. Giving in to them,